Not too bad, +5. Snow is all gone everywhere. It's amazing how this camera lightens up the room when it's almost pitch black when I'm looking here. Anyways, I'm gonna do a video today on this chainsaw, Shindaiwa 300S. I don't think they make Shindaiwa chainsaws anymore as far as I know, but these were really good quality chainsaws in their day. And that's back in the 90s, 1990s. I unplug this every night. Too early for a beer, but I need a little caffeine. Oh, this thing's open, shit. Shook that out of myself. So this is a friend's chainsaw, Randy. And I don't know, I don't think he's run it in a year or so, so he wants me to kind of just go over it and get it running for it. I'm sure I'll get it started pretty easily here. Shouldn't need much. And I think I'll sharpen this chain too. It looks pretty dull. I'll get this done, and then maybe I'll start on this generator down here again. That's been sitting for a year or so, so it won't start. It's bad gas. Every time it's bad gas, that's what it's going to be. Got to put some fresh gas in this. Get her going. Okay, let's start on this, the 300S. Okay. Gonna start on this. Pretty sure there's no gas in it. I checked that the other day. It's just a drop of gas in there, so it doesn't smell too good, but I'm gonna fill it up with fresh gas. The first thing, I'm just gonna check the spark plug. This whole thing is the spark plug boot. That whole thing there. Three-quarters. That's a little big. Oh, this socket's split. I got to get the snap-on guy out here, and I got, I think, 3 split sockets and a couple missing ones. It's carboned up a little bit, but it should fire. It's not black, it's like brown in here, so this should spark, but I'm going to clean it up. Let me just see if I got spark though right now. Hate to pull this thing too much here. Let's see if we can see if we got spark. Here's the on-off switch. It's got on there. It's got O and I here, I's ignition, and it's got down. What's that say? I don't know what that says there. Looks like numbers. I don't know, but I is ignition. Try the other way. No spark so far. Maybe I'll get that pushed in the other way. Oh yeah, there we go, we got spark. I'm just going to clean that plug up while I got it out. This is actually a spark plug tool. I'm not even sure where I got this one. It's got the little tab here for bending the electrode out, in or out a little bit, and you got the different size feeler gauges for it, and then you got the little picks here as well too. I'm not sure where I might have got that from my stepfather lately, because I don't remember ever buying this thing. Just try to scrape the carbon up the inside there. Then a little bit of carb cleaner. This thing squirts like crap. Spark plug's good. I'm sure it's just going to be fuel. I'm pretty sure I'll get this going pretty quickly. As long as the carb's not gummed. If the carb's gummed up, I got to pull everything apart. Let's see if there's any oil in here. No oil, no gas. Bar lube, chainsaw oil. I get a little funnel. Yeah, the Shindaiwa, they made weed eaters, chainsaws, a bunch of little power tools, but they were most famous for was their RC engines for RC boats and RC airplanes, and super high performance engines like in the boats and their planes. They were really well made. When I worked at the dealership and worked on these Shindaiwa chainsaws, I don't remember ever rebuilding one. Maybe there was a couple times where somebody put straight gas in and burnt it up, you know, and totaled the thing, but these things were bulletproof. They were really good chainsaws, and ran really well too. To me, they were as good as the Husqvarna, and at the time, maybe the Stills. Okay, let me mix up some gas here. This is an oil we used to sell, Opti 2, and a lot of your chainsaws will recommend an oil ratio like 40 to 1, 30 to 1, 50 to 1, you know, 80, 100 to 1. And this Optimal oil is a synthetic two-stroke oil, and I believe it's synthetic. It's really good shit. It's yeah, smokeless oil too. You don't get all the big blue smoke everywhere. Yeah, it exceeds the highest worldwide performances. Standard E/GD plus. Oxygenated fuels. I always assumed it was synthetic because you can mix the stuff at 100 to 1. Yeah, so I'm just gonna, it doesn't say on there though what its ingredients is, but really good stuff. So, where's my beaker here? I don't have any measuring stuff, so I'm just going to eyeball this. Don't need very much. Probably should mix it at 50 to 1, but I know you can go 100 to 1 in these things and they don't burn up. Mix one more. Now this optimal oil, I'm going to shake it up in here, and I should be able to see the blue in the gas. If you don't see any blue in the gas, then I've got it too thin, but I know I got lots in there. I used to mix it all the time, so you can almost tell by the color of it if it's mixed properly. So, container here. Yeah, and you can see the greenish tinge to that there. That's probably just about right. Soak that in the rag. Norton parts. I don't know what the spark plug gap is on that. It's probably 28 thou around there, but I don't have the specs for this thing. But I should know by that little plug, but it's just like, you know, so many years. Because each of the spark plug sizes and manufacturers, it's the same gap, and that's what I'm saying. It's probably around 25, 28 thou, somewhere in there. Okay, so ignition's up. This is choke, and this locks the throttle, and that's your choke. So let's give this a try. Okay, throttle on. That's locked. Choke's on, and start it this way, or I could put it down here if you can't see. Choke off. It's got a real sweet ring to that chainsaw. When you get it revved out like that, like, it's hard to explain it, but like, you can rev some stuff out, you know, and you can tell it's just screaming like it's gonna burn up. And there's other times you can rev something up and it's stuttering and sputtering and just doesn't quite right. And in this thing, it's just got that, you can tell by ear, like, there's so much of it by ear. That's why I was looking for the mixture screws on here. I don't even see any for the high and low speed mixture screws. I don't see it in there anywhere. Some of these you might have to do with the cover off. But this has got that really, I think it's dialed in perfect anyways. That sweet little buzz when it's revved right out. So that's in good shape. I'm going to take the chain off and sharpen that now. Not sure if it's the same socket. Might be the same socket. I don't have the grease. I used to have one for greasing the bar bearings. I gotta look over my barrel over there. I might have one over there. If not, I'll just try to oil it externally in here. But one thing I do whenever I sharpen somebody's chain, especially if they're cutting pine or a lot of sappy wood, and the teeth get all tarred up, you know, they get covered in thick tar. You can see this one does a bit. Is I always wire wheel them off. It sounds dangerous, but it's not too bad. I always wire wheel them off because that tar holds the chain up out of the wood. So where are we here? This one here. Yeah, I'm just gonna. You think it's gonna rip it out of your hand and cut you, but it doesn't. You just kind of fold it out, buff that off. You can clean them right up like that. I do that before I sharpen it. This works a lot better. Hang on to it tight, you don't want to rip it loose. This is just a cheap little Harbor Freight chainsaw sharpener, and I just put a couple screws. I hardly ever use it. I don't even have a tree on my property, but once in a while you got to sharpen one of these things. I think it was $29 at Harbor Freight there a couple years ago, just dirt cheap. And so the first thing I try to do, here's a degree angle on the front here, and I want to figure out which angle this chain is cut on. So I just bring it down. I had this thing set at 35, must have been the previous chain I did, and I turned it over to 30. I get my light in here, and when you get it to the right degrees, it'll just line up perfectly with that chain there. And then with these ones here, this sets the length of your chain tooth. This is your adjuster for that, and you can lock it in. Because one thing when you're sharpening a chain, my father taught me that, because he used to cut wood when he was younger. And my brother was actually a lumberjack for probably 5 years up in Thunder Bay. Cut trees for a living out in the woods. So one thing when you're ever cutting a chain, even with a hand file, you want to be consistent. If you take the rat tail file in here, and if you stroke it 3 times on this tooth, then you're going to do it 3 times on every tooth. If you stroke it 4 times in every tooth. Same with the rake. So you want to get the first tooth set up just right. And sometimes it might, and I have to, with this cheap one, I got to put a little pressure on it back here. Yeah, this is to turn it forward and back. I just do it manually. But you just want just to lightly graze this here. I don't know if I'm getting any light down there or not on that subject or not without the glare of the, yeah, that's not good for this. So I'm just going to take a light stroke, and then at the back of this thing there's a, up here, there's a knob up here that adjusts your depth of your stroke, because you don't want to be cutting down into the chain, you just want to touch that surface, you know, just a little bit of that surface. So let's take a test run here on this one. And I'm just pulling back on the chain this way, just keep a little tension on it so it doesn't fly forward. And I'm not making any contact, so I gotta go, I gotta loosen, tighten this up a little bit more. There we go. That's the first one. And you can look at the face of your tooth if you're getting the whole surface of it. That looks about right. And then push it up. Do the next. You got to skip every other tooth. Yeah, some teeth, see, some I might have to take a little bit more off him because he's probably sharpened it by hand, and some teeth are longer than others. That's why you want to push this a little bit farther forward here. And I'm not going down quite far enough. There we go, that's a full stroke right there. At our shop, we used to have a still one, a professional one, and it was just, it worked, everything was on ball bearings, it just worked beautiful. I could do it so fast. All right, let me just see if I'm getting back to the beginning here. Nope, didn't sharpen that one. I should have marked it. Sometimes I'll take like a marker, black marker, blue marker. Start cutting material. Feels like I'm at the beginning now. Yep, that should be this one here. Yeah, it's not hardly taking anything, so. Now you gotta switch this to 30 degrees the other way. Right there. And do these teeth. So you may have to readjust everything here. Okay. Yeah, this tooth is way shorter than the other ones, and I don't want to cut it back too much more. Couple more. That one's been sharpened, I'm pretty sure. Do a little bit more. There we go. And then I'll cut the rakes down on the bar, on the chainsaw itself. I may as well check the filter while I'm this far. Do a little tune-up to it. There's probably like just a screen in here, but let's see. There's no screen even on this thing. There's no air filter on this one at all. Must be just so well protected in here. You gotta go, there's a grommet here, and you gotta get this thing lined up all at the same time. There we go, there. Okay, a little tricky getting those all lined up again. This was one of the smaller models, so I guess it doesn't have a filter. I know the larger ones had a filter in it, like a screen, a mesh. This one has nothing. That tool there, you can show it to you better walk around, but this part adjusts the depth into it there, and then you can also set this angle too into the cut. But I've got that, I don't know where I got it set at right now. Or maybe this one's fixed. Yeah, this one's fixed. The other ones I used to use, you could adjust that angle. But anyways, this was my dad's. He passed away 2 years ago. And we used to have a farm. We always had chainsaws going on the farm. And there's a manual file here for profiling the chain. This holds it level, so you always want to sharpen it level. I probably used this on the farm one. That's in the 1970s. And there's for greasing the bar. And there's some wrenches right in there. I forgot I had this. Okay, let me grease that bar. Okay, so. This is where the oil comes out for your bar out of the slot right here. So you always, every time you take your bar off, you want to make sure that's clean. That drips into these holes here into your bar, depending on which way you have it. Same with your brake in here. I'll just scrape a bit of this stuff out. Sawdust out of there. I just want to get rid of this oily sawdust, because you track that into the house, into the carpet or the floors, the wife will kill you. That stuff doesn't come out. Okay, back to this thing here. Just set the tension here first. So at the tightest point of the chain, you turn it around, like the whole tooth is coming out. You only want about half a tooth to come out. Like there's the tightest part of the chain there. It's a little on the loose side. I'll tighten it up some more. Adjustments on the front here. It's got to spin freely. See if any of these wrenches fit. There we go. Okay. Not a lot of grease left in here. And nothing coming out. I may have to fix the grease gun before I can fix the chainsaw. Let's see here. Well, my dad died 2 years ago, so I think in 2018, end of 2018, and I know he hadn't lived on a farm since around 1980. So I don't think this chainsaw. Well, my buddy's got his chainsaw. I'm going to get it back from him. Let's see how this thing works. Oh yeah, she's right out of grease in there. White grease. You can put any kind of grease in there. Yeah, it's out of grease. You put some grease in there. This is my good white grease, but I'll spare a little bit of it in there. That should work. This is old school, this thing, probably since the 60s. Because the new ones, you unscrew the lid and then you put the cartridge in there or you fill it up that way. Like, what the heck, how's this supposed to work? Works on vacuum, I guess. Let's try that. Okay, got this working. The grease that was in the end here was all hardened up in there. So I just took it over the vise and put this in the vise and kept pushing it. And then I could only push it like 1/4 of an inch. And then finally I pushed out a lot of that hard crap out of there. It should go all the way down like that. There we go. Now she's squishing. You can see the grease coming out the sides here. You do both sides. There we go. Coming out of that side. Okay, that's done. Almost forgot. Got to file the rakes down. Every time you sharpen your chain, your teeth, you got to file the rakes. And I used to just do it by hand, you know, a couple strokes each all around. There is a tool for it. Luckily, it's in my father's bag there. And you can see the shape of this tool where it's dented out a little bit. Well, that hooks over the tooth, and then your rake sticks up. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to mark this. Start on this one here. All black. And then anything sticking up above this, you want to take off. If you don't file these rakes down, and your tooth is cut on an angle, all these teeth are cut on an angle like this. I'm going to exaggerate it. They're cut on an angle like this, so every time you sharpen your tooth, it gets shorter and shorter. And then these rakes stick up above your tooth, and it won't cut wood. Your rakes are stopping it from the tooth from hitting the wood, so you have to cut them down. You have to cut them down every time too. These ones aren't bad. I'm barely getting anything on them. With the magic marker. That should do it. That's a Shindaiwa 300S. The 30 usually means 30 cc's. Chainsaws, lawnmowers, just about all of their serial numbers and model numbers mean something. know, mean, like the Honda's a 216 means 21 inch, 6 horsepower. Some of these will say, it's usually always the cc's as the first 2 digits, or 300 cc, 30 cc's. Okay. Brake works, that's it. This one's done. That's it for that video.